Happy Saturday, Risers. We hope you're having a phenomenal weekend. Saagar and I are back with some of our favorite moments from the week. Mike Figueredo, host of the Humanist Report, joined me this week to talk about right-wing Democrats like Joe Manchin and Krystal, who are blocking progress within their own party. Talked about why they hold so much more power in the Senate than progressive Dems do and how Republicans play into all of this.
The problem is that they oftentimes side with Republicans more so than the moderate Republicans side with Democrats. And I think this kind of comes down to leadership in a way. Chuck Schumer, he's a feckless leader. And as much as I hate Mitch McConnell, he actually does get Republicans to hold their ground. And even when you see individuals like Susan Collins, she'll grandstand for weeks and then ultimately she'll side with Republicans. We don't see that leadership on the Democratic Party side, so there's no discipline there. And you have individuals like Joe Manchin and Krystal who actually will, they'll choose to not go along with Democrats. And I think that the leftists like Bernie Sanders, sometimes he does play hardball. Sometimes he is a little bit more strategically, set on trying to get things accomplished. Like he's been effective throughout the course of the pandemic. But, when it comes to Joe Manchin and Krystal, they're ruthless and they don't actually care that people are suffering. So they will hold up this. If you want to play chicken with them, they'll end up winning because they don't actually care. To them, it's all about delivering for, corporate America. They don't actually care about their constituents. And I think that's why they hold more power.
Yeah, Manchin and Sinema and the other libertarian sort of right-wing extremists, which they are, by the way, wildly out of step with where the American people are on these issues.
And their own constituents.
Constituents, perfectly willing to withhold their vote, threaten to walk away. That's just considered fine. They're not villainized for that or demonized for that. Whereas with the left, and I think he makes a good point there, that partly their own morality and actual commitment to the principle and the issue of getting people help itself is weaponized against them, which makes it harder for them to really go to the mat and say, no, we're not going to support it if you don't come along with us.
Yeah, no, that's right. And we saw that in the progressive letter that we talked about yesterday where they were like, you should do this, but we won't withhold our vote. It's like, okay, well.
Then, you just throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks for the press release.
Yeah.
All right. And author Kurt Anderson, he also joined us to discuss his new book, Evil Geniuses, The Unmaking of America, A Recent History, outlined exact steps the wealthy elite took to screw the working class and to guarantee themselves generational wealth. Let's take a listen.
There was the big one that we saw in 1980, starting in 1980, which is to say radically lowering tax rates on the well-to-do, radically lowering tax rates on big corporations, radically deregulating. And some deregulation, I believe, was good, but then it went crazy. So there were those, but then there were hundreds of small things, like, for instance, the small thing that nobody noticed at the time that allowed public companies to buy back their stock, which had previously been effectively illegal since the 1930s. And then in 1982, no, go ahead, buy back your own stock to pump up the price and rig the system that way. That was one. That was well connected to, for instance, the just crazy increase in CEO salaries.
Incredible week to have him on because he kind of lays out the history.
Right before it all just broke open.
It was literally the day before this all with GameStop broke into the open, and he lays out in his book the history of the rigging of the marketplace to be what we have today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He explained it so well. It's the logical conclusion. People like Leon Cooperman and others, Bill Ackman and others that we talked about here. These are the people who are the real enemies and who are really the beneficiaries of this entire system.
Finally, YouTuber Shoe0nHead joined us to discuss a video that she made at the Capitol riots a few weeks ago where she asked Trump supporters their opinions on burning the American flag. We asked her what surprised her most about their responses. Here's what she had to say.
I was a little biased. I thought they would all be throw him in jail just because it was something Trump said. But I was actually pleasantly surprised at how many people were like, you know what, I don't like it, but it's your right to do it. I support it. I wouldn't do it, but I still support your freedom of speech. And what was interesting is a lot of the veterans were the people. I know there was one veteran who said he didn't like it, but most of the time the veterans were like, oh, I fought for your right to do that. But the people who weren't veterans would use veterans as an excuse to be like, oh, they fought for this country, so you can't burn the flag. It was really interesting. Veterans were their shield, yet actual veterans were no, it's fine. You should burn the flag. I fought for that right. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and what I liked about her video is she didn't like manipulate it to only show the responses
which is what most people do.
that fit her preconceived notions. She was open to the fact that she had like prejudged this in a little bit of the wrong way. I mean, she got plenty of the crazy responses that she was expecting, like they should be hanged and they're traitors and export them. That was my favorite. Export them from the country. But I give her a lot of credit for showing the totality of what the responses actually were.
No, I completely agree with you, which is that it actually, that shows you that it's real. I really liked her perspective. It was good. She was like, this is actually what surprised me, and I think that maybe we could all get more out of doing exactly what she did.
That does it for us. We'll be back later today with the week that was in Media Screw-Ups.
That's right. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to like and share as well. Tomorrow, going to be back for another round of #RisingQs. We'll see you all then.